What's up, everybody? Hey, it's Charles and Paul from Shop DAP. We are at Wookie's in the Woods. Paul, when we get together, we like to take some of your questions. You know, this is really cool because it gives a little bit different perspective, kind of both ways from your point of view and mine. And so I got like a handful of questions. We're going to answer them. These are going to be quick videos. So one question, and then make sure you check out the playlist. That'll have all the rest of the questions, not only that Paul and I are doing today, but you know, from years past, we'll call it. All right, Paul, you ready for this one? This one comes from Anthony, and basically he has a 13 Jetta 2.5 with 120K. He's actually referring back to the must-do maintenance I did on a 2-liter turbo, and he wants to know what are the common things that he may expect to fail, and what are some of the really key maintenance at that 120, 130, 30,000 mile.
2013 2.5? Yes. Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So for me, 2.5 stuff, the key failure things, and I'm sure he can probably add a little bit to this, valve covers. Yep. The PCV valve is built in the valve cover. They tear. Just so my personal thoughts on that, there are diaphragm replacements out there. We don't offer them mostly because I've heard a lot of people who they're just haven't had good luck with success with removing that, reinstalling it, and not having it leak afterwards. So unfortunately, you have to buy the whole valve cover in that circumstance. The secondary air issues around either combination valves or secondary air pumps.
With the 13s, it's most commonly either that pipe with the updated sensor or simply the sensor, which I think it's actually cheaper to get the whole entire kit. Yeah. That's probably one of the most common
that you see.
That we see. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a lot more common as on our end selling the pumps combi valves as opposed to those kits with the sensor. For anybody who's not familiar, there's an update kit on 2.5s for early gen ones that had I guess they must have a separate sensor.
Yeah, they had a mass airflow, and this is the map sensor cars that have another pressure sensor in that line.
In the pipe that goes between the combination valve and the pump, which is the pressure side of that system. So other than that, I would say there's not a ton of other 2.5 stuff.
You know, I think one of Anthony's concerns was what kind of reliability am I going to have with this car? And honestly, by 2013, the 2.5 was pretty damn good. They'd worked out any of the early timing chain issues, so that doesn't become a problem. You get, you know, a random wheel bearing failure. That's not terribly uncommon. You get oil leaks from the valve cover gasket. That can happen. A cooling fan here or there, but that's not really common either. You know, not nearly the tensioner issues that the 2-liter turbos have, or chain stretch like the early ones had. They're pretty darn good. So as long as you're changing your oil, doing your coolant, doing your brake fluid, axle boots, you should probably be all right.
Yeah, for me, I always actually think that 2.5s in general, for most people who are looking for just a solid, reliable Volkswagen that's not going to be a super big nightmare. They may not be the most exciting car. You know, if we look out here, all these cars, those cars may be more exciting, but the 2.5 is probably going to be less failure prone or problematic of any of the cars.
I agree. And the transmission, you know, the fluids do it every 50. Spark plugs, I think we get coil pack failures now and again. There's been a handful, not many, of head gasket failures, but I think that's the earlier generation 2.5s, not so much the later ones. So Anthony, man, great question. And honestly, just keep doing what you're doing. There's a bug that just flew there. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll probably be okay. You know, you have to plan for the random, unexpected failure, no matter what kind of car you have. But I think you're in pretty good hands with that 2.5.